Hello all, Paint Marine here, and I guess today is going to be a attempt at coherent thoughts. Um, but I'm going to start off with something that I think is probably one of the more difficult things that most people have to do at times, and that is to kind of like admit when they're wrong. And I made a mistake um, in a comment that I had made in regards to a tournament that I had attended, and just kind of my overall reaction with um, particularly the painting competition aspect of it and stuff. And I made a comment in poor taste about somebody who won best painted. And anyway, I apologize to the individual as well as just saying it was a comment in bad taste. But really, what it comes down to, I'm just more really disappointed in myself because as people know on my page on the channel and everything, like that's not at all what I'm trying to do with my channel and the page and this hobby in general needs kind of like less than negativity and more of each other helping each other, building each other up, and not making those kind of comments. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think where all that being said, kind of just moving forward from there. Like I said, it was definitely in poor taste, and my hope in going forward and something I already had, kind of then like the purpose of all of what I'm doing is like I said, like I don't have enough, like I don't make money making videos and trying to promote the hobby and share my techniques and tips and all that kind of stuff. Like my whole purpose and point is to help others in their hobby aspirations, to inspire people through the work and things that I'm trying out and doing, and then to also just to promote the hobby in general. And like I said, that definitely uh, worked against that. So, like I said, so all that being said, that kind of leads into another aspect of this attempt of coherent thought that I want to talk about. And that is the idea of gaming clubs or groups, and do those help or hurt the hobby? Um, and I bring that up because I think it's something that we've seen a lot for years in the past. Where I know it was a huge thing with Armies on Parade, and I know everybody loathes Spiky Bits a lot, but they had done an article because they had went to a Armies on Parade, and their friend who they thought had a better display army, whatever, ended up losing third place in a tiebreaker. And I think they should have deserved at least third place, if not probably higher. But they were pretty upset about that, and they kind of came out and said, like, well, Armies on Parade is just a popularity contest, and it's just about who can get their friends and family out to vote. It has absolutely nothing to do with true hobby skill and stuff like that. Now, I've talked about this before, with Armies on Parade in particular being more. It's not so much it's not a true competition. In honesty, it really kind of is a popularity contest because it's really it's it's really kind of not a contest first. It's a showcase first and foremost. It's a hobby showcase, not a hobby contest. And then they just kind of give out awards for kind of best in show and that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, it does fall victim of family and friends coming in and voting. Now, there have been managers, they try to mitigate that and they try to do things they can, but there is no perfect system when it comes to objective voting or just like vote for your favorite kind of thing. Because I mean, even especially when votes are anonymous, like if you were to know who everybody's friends and family were, and you're like, you can't vote for somebody who's related or a friend, but then how are you going to know unless you know everybody that that person knows? So like I said, there's no real perfect solution. I've seen ones where it's like, oh, you have to buy something in order to vote. So then people would buy like a pot of paint, and then they would still vote for their buddy because you know it's buy anything. But then other people don't like that. They don't like the idea of like, why do I have to buy to vote? You're just trying to get money. So like there's so many different solutions or attempted solutions there. None of them are perfect. Um, but then going into a tournament or competition like the one I recently went to, which has always kind of changed and toyed with different ways of doing the hobby and painting scoring. Um, and it's still, like I said, like I don't know, it's not a perfect process because these events in particular try to focus heavily on kind of more of the hobby and the narrative aspect versus like the go out and you crush your opponent type of thing. Um, and that's kind of what they were um, and everything. And now it's like I don't know, everything like the community and things are kind of changing is all it is really. And like I said, so going into kind of my question here or kind of aspect is the gaming groups or I don't know what they call them, that or teams or whatever you want to call them. Are they helping or hurting? So a lot of times local players and stuff will kind of get together and create kind of these hobby clubs. A lot of times it's centered around a store. The store is kind of like the main proponent of the club. Um, but I've seen recently kind of this um, increase in gaming clubs that are not attached, excuse me, to a traditional like hobby store. Now they'll look for stores to host their events and such, and locations to host their events. But other than that, they're run solely by like this independent club that has no other affiliation with the store itself, other than they ask if they can host, and then I'm sure some of the proceeds from the entry fees go to support the store. I'm not sure exactly, but I assume so. Um, but yeah, so I've seen that kind of insurgence, which can be good as far as getting more events and stuff and getting things a little bit more organized. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of players have attempted to take this on in a few different reasons. One, to kind of like bring more control under them versus being dependent upon a store, which at the end of the day, the bottom line is they need income. Um, but then also, um, it's almost becoming kind of like an esports kind of thing, where I feel like as this hobby has grown pretty rapidly over the last few years, and with uh, such a predominance of like an esports type thing, like I know there's like a Team USA or whatever that goes over to Europe for the was it the ETC or something like that, and like then you have ITC and ATC, and so you have all these kind of like more competitive rule sets that are being done for the tournament scene. And like I said, I feel like a lot of the local hobbies kind of would set up teams and clubs that they would then, those people would get together and go to those events. And I've seen like now it's kind of growing even more to where, like I said, you're getting these clubs that are outside of your local shops and creating more kind of team inspired or type of esports inspired teams that then go and travel, and they'll go to these different local events. Now I've seen this both on the 40K and the Legion side recently. The Legion Prime, where I think it was like 4 or 5. I can't remember how many. Or the minimum, I know there was definitely 3, but there was a decent amount of individuals that came down. About 2 to 3. It was about 2.5, I'd say, hours drive to compete, and they swept it. They took all the top spots, all the top prizes. Very competitive players, definitely um, using kind of other local, smaller tournaments where maybe the people are a little bit friendly. It's not as competitive an environment um, to get practice in, to get their lists in, and to also then sweep prizes. Now, I'm sure they go to other events as well. The whole idea being they hit up as many events as possible because they want to get the practice and the experience, which is great. Um, uh, and then they don't always sweep those other ones when they're in a more competitive environment. Um, but especially on the Legion side of things, it's interesting because with like the Prime events and stuff like that, you're usually competing to get like a invite or a spot at regionals and then nationals and stuff like that. 40K, as far as I know, I'm not into the super competitive scene, so I'm not 100% sure, but it's, I don't believe it's set up like that. But so then when you have other events that are not, I guess, not to funnel in people, so it's like, so it makes sense for competitive people to show up to a Prime, for a Legion Prime, because they're trying to buy, or not buy, but win into a spot potentially to get into one of those other things. But if it was just a regular local Legion tournament with no, like, you get an invite to a higher tournament, and they still come down, while, players should be welcome, the question then is this just, again, because they're just there to scoop up the prizes? Like I said, I think I mentioned that my last video about the Prime tournament that I went to, that there was one individual that already had an invite, and he merely said he came down here for the sole purpose of just crushing people's dreams and taking prizes, which was disheartening for sure. So then we go to, you got like Nova, LVO, Adepticon, all those, and my first year of Adepticon I went to, which it was 2016. I had to look at my little coaster over here. It's an Adepticon coaster. But anyway, 2016, and you saw teams and stuff there, and especially in the team tournament, like they encourage, it's usually a group of friends and stuff like that get together and they make the same t-shirts and jerseys and stuff. But something I've noticed this last time, before time I went to Nova, but definitely this last time, is in like the GT, where you're on your own versus other people, though, but how many people were wearing like the same jerseys or matching jerseys and such, like they're all part of like this team. I started to notice, again, this more of an esports kind of culture is definitely becoming more and more prominent. So then, where the whole, I guess, attempt at Coherent Thought coming is, how much does this help or hurt in the end, with people wanting to be super competitive and break armies as soon as they come out, find the super meta list, and break them, take them to local tournaments where they crush people, either just getting into the hobby, or even some people that have been in for a while, and just like the friendly environment of a tournament that is not being advertised as any kind of tournament to get an invite to something higher, or even something that's being advertised as like non-ITC tournament, whereas like your scores and pairings and all that will not be posted or anything on a national, global level or whatever. So, that's kind of my question, I guess, is like, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. The other part of it too is it a club or is it a clique? Meaning, if you're not in it, if you're not with the group, you're against the group. There's like not a gray area where like certain groups could come off as they're very welcoming or whatever, but if there's something you disagree about, or then you could potentially find yourself blacklisted, finding it difficult to find games, or anytime you go to an event, they're gonna just show up with a majority of players, and they're all gonna, like, because they play together so much and they talk, and like really at that level of a club level, I feel like there's a lot more strategy that goes in between each other and sharing lists and using what's super, or what are some strong, tough lists to beat. So generally, you're gonna find that it's gonna be a real rough day when going up against a club team, if you will, because they're more on a professional level of playing than a I guess casual player. And I can see that, especially with ones that are not advertised as, like I said, like a bigger tournament style, or following like the bigger tournament rules with the results being reported. That can be kind of an issue, because for a lot of people that have very busy lives, sometimes getting to go to a tournament for a day is the most that they can play, and it sucks if like um, you go and you get crushed all day, and that can be a number of things too. Because if you're not having a lot of time to play, and your only time to play is tournaments, well then you're pretty out of practice. Um, but if it's one that you think is going to be kind of more, uh, I don't know, more of a casual tournament, which I guess in any kind of a competition, how casual can you be? But it can be a little bit disheartening in that aspect. Now, um, the other thing is when it comes to, like I said, armies on parade, or whatever else, if it's a painting hobby competition aspect where a voting element is involved, and you're playing at a tournament where a majority of the people are a part of the same club or group, it can be hard to break in as somebody who's not a part of that club or group, or um, even if you're new to the area, it can be hard because there can definitely be, and like I said, it doesn't happen all the time, but there's always exceptions to the rule. But it can be hard to break into, um, to winning some aspects of things if there's a vote and they decide, well, you know what, um, we want XYZ or whatever to win best sportsman, so we're going to everybody vote for him. Uh, and same could go for like if there's some sort of voting aspect to the painting hobby aspect, and then all that can really sway end results as well, depending upon how everything's scored. Um, it shouldn't usually, from what I've seen, there's usually kind of you'll have like your hobby painting thing, so that's usually like your best painted or best hobbyist or whatever. Then you'll get your scores for that, and then you'll have like your scores from the day, like how many wins, losses, points, victory points, whatever. And then those, so you'll have your best painted and your best, I don't know what you call it, like best general, best first place or whatever, and then you'll usually have something that combines those. Now, most likely the best, I would say the best overall. Most likely the best overall is going to be the one that won first, and as long as they didn't play an unpainted or just bare minimum colored army, they'll probably still win. Best overall, depending on how many hobby points and stuff they factor in. But then I forgot too, and then usually sportsmen will get thrown in there sometimes too. Although I've seen sportsmen just be a completely separate thing, where it's just a best sportsman and that's good, and they don't add in those best sportsman scores into the rest. Um, because again, that can be where somebody loses out on points just because they're new, or they're visiting the area, kind of a thing, like or whatever. Because I did it, like people don't know them, and you can be nice and cordial with somebody during a game and be completely sportsmanlike, but at the end it's kind of, they're gonna probably pick the person they play or their buddy that they played, because I mean they know them more, so why not pick them over a stranger and help their buddy out? So there's just like all those kind of little aspects that kind of can come into play. So I don't know, it's interesting, uh, the things going on in the community at large. I've definitely had a unique experience with this myself because my day job moves me around so much. Um, I'm constantly feeling like I'm the new guy, and at times I'll still try to take trips back to other places where I used to play and live, if they're still within driving distance. Um, and I'll find like the first few times I go back, people are just like, "Oh, hey man, it's good to see you back," whatever. But then as time goes by and more time is creates that distance, um, when I go back, I'm a non-known, basically. I'm an unknown entity. There will be like a few people still, but by and large, most people like I don't know who you are. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was here 5 years ago or so, and they're like, oh okay, but you're not seeing them every week or however often it is that the group and the clubs and stuff meet up. So again, you're still a stranger to everybody, and so that can be hard. And like I said, like definitely right now it's feeling more and more like if you want to survive in a tournament level, even more so if it's going to be a local tournament, you need to be a part of a gaming club. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to get full points on some of the other aspects. You know, when it comes to the table and how you play, I mean, really, I guess at the end of the day, it's on you and how you build your list, your army, and how you play. With the other hobby aspects, like again, it's on you to paint your models and do all this other stuff. But when it comes to the painting and the sportsmanship and stuff like that, it can still be out of your hands. Like you could be the best sportsmanship and still, you know, in your at the end of the day too, it's like your own opinion. Like I could feel like I was the best sportsman all day long. That doesn't mean everybody did. Um, but like I said, and there's that, and then of course painting. I could feel like my stuff's the best painted stuff in the world, which I honestly really don't. Um, I feel like I'm a decent painter. I wouldn't say definitely to the level that of a lot of the people that I see out there. I'm very humbled and inspired by a lot of those people um, to try out new things. And um, lately, I have been trying out a lot of new stuff, and hopefully, I can just continue to improve to get better and better. But like I said, like it could still be like you could have a golden demon painted army to the nth degree and still potentially get outvoted just because they have more of their friends. Again, like I said, it's like the armies on parade, more of their friends and stuff. um, there's always that potential when you're not a part of the group. um, so right now, I guess all this being said, I really feel like in order to survive in some way, in the rankings of the hobby aspect and the sportsmanship aspect, you basically just have to be a regular and or part of a club or group if they have one. If not, then I honestly I would not expect to win sportsmanship for sure. Even if you're the nicest person or whatever, I feel like it's really hard to win that one if you are not a local or part of the group. And then and I can't even part of the group because I guess there was another tournament that I went to a while back that somebody that was not a local won, but he had like their little club group was there in majority, and so um, and that's another one too. Like sportsmanship changes. Sometimes like vote your favorite person that you play that day. So the most you could get is 3, but I've seen it done other ways too. It's just like as you interact throughout the day with people, you can also go that route. But anyway, so yeah, you have. See, this is an attempt at coherent thought. I completely lost my train of thought with what I was talking about before. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I'm still out. I'm still out on the verdict on our clubs and groups, good or bad. I definitely see them in the good as far as you're getting a community together. You can have a group of friends. Um, you can help each other out with the hobby aspect and with the playing aspect. Uh, Building lists, looking at each other's lists, and helping each other get better that way. And yeah, and all that. Um, but yeah, and then I struggled on the other end of it too. It's like, but then when it comes down to um, tournaments and games such like that, are you helping when you have a new person in town or a new person of the hobby playing? There was somebody new that played in a tournament once, and he didn't have a whole lot of experience in tournaments. He'd been playing Warhammer for a while. And he came in dead last, said he had a blast, said he learned a lot, which is good. But I mean, it comes down to the individual, I guess. Is that going to cause somebody like, you know what, this is not for me? I definitely know I've gotten discouraged in the past when I've tried games where you just get crushed all the time. It's really rough. It's really not fun because obviously people want to win. Well, that's something else too that I could go on a whole tangent about, which I've recently had an opponent that was really not fun to play. Everything was always in his favor, nothing in my favor when I could see a model, tip of the barrel gun, but I can't shoot on it because that doesn't count. But he sees the tip of my guy's barrel gun. It's like, well, I can see the tip of his barrel. Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm still kind of tired from this tournament that I just did. And so it's really hard for those attempts of Coherent Thought. It's middle of the day today. It's the day after. But yeah, because it was a 6-hour drive altogether. And then a long day of playing. And I'm like, ugh. I'm thinking about I got to get up super early for work tomorrow. And I've got a whole bunch of other stuff on the table left to do. But, yeah, I guess let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I don't want this to get too crazy long and tangenty, but it kind of already has. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think. Are gaming clubs and groups good or bad? And I honestly don't feel like there's a clear answer at the end of the day. It's a very gray area. But, is there a way to make them better so as to not hurt the hobby? Because there's positives and negatives to it. And is there a way to decrease as much as possible the negative aspects of the gaming groups and hobbies and that kind of clique culture that can create? Yeah, and then again, I just want to reiterate basically my apology. Like the comment, I took down the comment, so there's no need to like whatever, and kind of the response poster still there, so you can kind of extrapolate the comment. But like I said, it was just in poor taste. There's really no excuse. I could go on about it was this or that, bad headspace, whatever. But it was just in poor taste and shouldn't have been said, and it's not what I want to be about. And like I said, I became the worst part about the hobby, the thing that I hate the most. And I don't know. I've been in the hobby for a while, and I don't feel like I've never had kind of that interaction before, where I stooped down to that level, and I guess I did this time. And like I said, I was very, very disappointed in myself for sure. So going forward, I'm going to, I'm just not even going to go that route. And as my page and channel continue to grow, I think part of it too is just recognizing that, like I said, as my page and channel grow, that you become less kind of an individual and more of a hobby ambassador, if you will. And so things you say can have a lot of reach as you grow on these new platforms in the cyber web and whatever new platforms come out to share our ideas and our hobby. And so by saying something like that, it can promote that negative attitude and, like I said, that whole culture that I am trying to not promote in the hobby. So yeah, so going forward, I'm just going to start with a clean slate for myself. Hopefully the individual forgives me. I have no idea if they do or not, But yeah, hopefully they do. But I'm gonna just definitely move forward. A clean slate for myself, at least. I'll still always have it on my conscience, though. I definitely am not one that just forgets and forgives myself, but I will move forward from it and remember that my purpose here is to help, inspire, and promote, and to not throw judgment on somebody else's hard work. Because it was a beautiful army. It was very well done at the end of the day, and it's like I didn't think that it wasn't that he didn't deserve best painted. There was just some aspects to the scoring and everything else that kind of really threw it into um, question. Really, is really what it came down to. Because um, yeah, I mean that's about as much as I can go into that aspect. Because then I could go on a whole nother tangent. But I don't really want to throw any shade onto that. Because like I said, they've already taken a lot of feedback from it and they're working to improve it. I don't know how they're going to go with it in the future, but I don't know. Hopefully they can do a better job. But I've also been considering, I thought about it this time and looking back at it now, I wish I had. Um, but I had also thought about just taking myself out of the pain aspect of it. Um, Not because I think that like I'm going to go anywhere and win all the painting awards all the time. Um, but I wanted to from the aspect of the theme of my army. And that might confuse some people, but as many know, I have, here's an executioner behind me that I'm working on that obviously is kind of a Buzz Lightyear theme. I say kind of because it's more based off of the cartoon show, which I've kind of gone over. And you can, if you look at my channel, there's a Star Commanders playlist I'm working on. And the first video that I have up, the only video up currently, is kind of the origins of the theme and kind of where I got the theme from. And it follows the cartoon show, not the Toy Story reference, although the Buzz and them are essentially one and the same. But I thought about taking it out and just, still taking my board and like everything and just kind of raising awareness for my chapter and kind of getting it out there more and just like, because people think it's cool and cool to look at. Um, but also because I have found in other places and other stuff that it can irk a lot of people off. Or like I said, I post in some places here and there, and it just a lot of people don't like it because of the whole idea that it's breaking the fourth wall. They think it's a joke. It's making fun of their hobby and all that. And it's, if anything, it's the exact opposite. I love the scheme. I love the lore of the Buzz Lightyear Star Command, which goes so much more in depth with what is Star Command and who are the Space Rangers and kind of stuff. And you learn a lot. It's really cool. It was a really good show for a cartoon back in the early 2000s. Um, and so I took that and I wanted to meld those together into 40K with this whole Primaris founding coming, or Primaris Army coming out. I saw the opportunity to create my own like true homebrew, because before that, I Kakaradons and Salamanders and Dark Angels and I love Space Marines, and I just couldn't ever get on a custom chapter thing. I couldn't think of something that I thought would be like just run with it type of thing. But then both the aesthetic of the models and then seeing that first meme that popped when they first announced Primaris of somebody photoshopping kind of the colors of Buzz, I was like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I want to make this work for my army. And I've run with it quite extensively. Like I said, I've been getting artwork commissioned. I've got some dice coming, a dice bag. I've got shirts, all kinds of stuff. I'm just running with it. And to the point where I'm like a lot of the artwork and the stuff while I'm getting that done is I'm trying to make my own codex supplement. Now obviously it's a fan made, not necessarily official supplement. It's going to basically just be kind of copy paste rules wise from the Iron Hands supplement in the chapter tactics that I use, the Signs of Forge and Stealthy from the Raven Guard. Um, but I'm going to have my own lore and like I said, all this stuff in there that I'm working on, and it's definitely a labor of love. So, um, yeah, that's like hindsight being what it is. I wish I would have just done that. But yeah, so I think kind of going forward, especially in certain events, I'll probably do that. Um, just like I said, just to kind of like take myself out, because like I said, at the end of the day, it doesn't, like, winning best painted, I think, would be nice, but it's not the end of the world if I don't, and it's not the top of the world or whatever if I do. It doesn't change really anything other than just continue on painting and hobbying and doing what I love to do with my army. So, whew, alright, well, again, like I said, I feel like this is like the 5th time I tried to end this video, but I'm going to end it this time. So please stay tuned on the channel. I got lots more coming. I'm actually, right after this, I got to do my status report video for the past month. And then, again, after that, I have another video that I'm going to do. They're pretty excited about. It's a pretty cool thing coming up. And, yeah, so... Alright, well, without further ado, I guess I will call that done for this video, and if you haven't already, please check out the Facebook page and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and until next time.